To process the 2026 World Cup, organizers are deploying a continental-scale logistical matrix. Setting the stage requires a highly calibrated system of infrastructural engineering. Since 1998, the tournament has relied on the symmetry of 32 teams. 8 groups of 4 teams each produced a clean field of 16 for the knockout stage, allowing the bracket to be halved in every round without the need for complex tiebreakers or play-ins. That baseline has been discarded. The governing body has issued a new administrative mandate, expanding the intake from 32 participating nations to 48. This animated timeline tracks the impact of that mandate. By accepting 16 additional teams, the total match inventory surges from 64 to 104 games. Furthermore, administrators dictate that all 104 of these matches must be executed within a 39-day operational window. Processing a 60% increase in match volume within almost the exact same timeframe breaks the established tournament structure. Organizers have to completely re-engineer the logistics to make the math function across 3 countries. The primary administrative driver behind this expansion is FIFA President Gianni Infantino, who championed the 48-team policy and pushed it through the governing council. To house this expanded system, the FIFA Congress selected a tri-nation bid, distributing hosting duties across Canada, Mexico, and the United States. The stated logic for the mandate is maximization. A wider field allows for increased global representation, brings emerging soccer markets into the fold, and drives broadcasting revenue by capturing new regional audiences. However, professional analysts and managers point out that widening the intake funnel dilutes the sporting quality. Accepting lower-ranked teams introduces significant skill disparities during the group stages. There is also a direct physical cost. Navigating the expanded format requires teams reaching the Final Four to play an 8th match, pushing player fatigue metrics higher in an already congested club calendar. Organizers prioritized political inclusion and revenue generation, but balancing those metrics creates systemic vulnerabilities in competitive integrity and player welfare. Before the tournament even begins, organizers face their first logistical hurdle: engineering a global qualification funnel capable of filtering the world's national teams down to exactly 48 slots. This Sankey flow diagram maps the new baseline allocation. The math guarantees at least one direct entry berth for all 6 global confederations. To resolve the final 2 slots, the system routes 6 specific teams into a newly designed intercontinental playoff bracket. This playoff concurrently serves a dual purpose. Hosted entirely within Mexico, it acts as a physical infrastructure test event for the host nation ahead of the main tournament. The resulting intake yields a high ratio of returning legacy teams, but the widened funnel produces exactly the type of statistical anomalies administrators intended. Due to the expanded allocation, nations like Cape Verde, Curacao, Jordan, and Uzbekistan successfully navigated the qualification process to secure their first-ever tournament appearances. The intake mechanism successfully globalizes participation, but doing so shifts the entire operational burden downstream. The tournament's internal sorting format must now process those 48 variables cleanly. The original 2017 administrative blueprint planned to sort the 48 teams into 16 groups of 3. This game theory matrix details teams A, B, and C, revealing a fatal collision risk. With only 2 teams playing the final match day, teams B and C can intentionally play to a draw to secure their advancement, mathematically eliminating Team A. If a final match guarantees both participants a path forward, they have every incentive to manufacture a mutually beneficial result. This vulnerability threatened to compromise the integrity of the group stage. Recognizing this trap, administrators pivoted in 2023, restructuring the field into 12 groups of 4. This format schedules the final 2 group matches simultaneously. Teams now operate with incomplete information, fully neutralizing the collusion loophole. The advancement criteria dictate that the top 2 teams from each of the 12 groups automatically proceed to the knockout stage. However, passing 24 teams forward creates an incomplete knockout tree. To build a proper, symmetrical bracket, the system must also extract and advance the 8 highest-ranked third-place teams. Securing the group stage against a game theory vulnerability forced organizers to tear up their blueprints and construct a highly complex advancement funnel. Ranking 12 different third-place teams operating across 12 independent groups requires a strict multi-tiered tie-breaking hierarchy. This logic tree charts the tie-breaking protocol. First, it evaluates goal difference, then total goals scored. Next, a fair play score calculates red and yellow card deductions. Finally, the ultimate fallback is the team's historical FIFA World Ranking. Once the algorithm filters out the bottom third of the tournament, the 32 surviving teams funnel into a newly instituted phase, the round of 32. From here, the mechanics are relentless. The tournament becomes a single elimination sprint over the remainder of the 39-day window, terminating at the final on July 19th. The output of these decisions is a highly complex tournament bracket designed to manage the specific logistical constraints of an expanded field. Translating a theoretical 104-match bracket into reality requires organizers to secure hard physical infrastructure. The geographic footprint is massive, stretching across the entirety of the North American continent and operating within the borders of 3 sovereign nations. To manage this area, the infrastructure is heavily decentralized. The operation relies on 16 distinct host cities, meticulously divided into Western, Central, and Eastern regional operating clusters. Despite the United States hosting the event decades prior, organizers made a sharp break from history, selecting 0 stadiums from the 1994 tournament for reuse. The singular exception to this historical wipe is located in Mexico City. Estadio Azteca leverages its legacy from the 1970 and 1986 tournaments. The primary constraint dictating these selections is volume. FIFA enforces a strict minimum capacity requirement, demanding venues capable of seating at least 40,000 spectators per match. To hit those numbers, organizers co-opted North American megastructures designed primarily for gridiron football. Relying on NFL and CFL stadiums solves the capacity problem, but it introduces significant structural retrofitting requirements. The most significant conflict between these stadiums and FIFA standards is the playing surface itself. Many of these venues rely heavily on permanent artificial turf. Administrators issued a strict stadium retrofit mandate. 8 of the chosen venues must physically strip out their synthetic surfaces down to the base layer and replace them entirely with natural grass. This 3D cross-section illustrates the exact agricultural specifications required. Warm climate zones receive pure Bermuda grass. For cooler stadiums, groundskeepers engineer a root structure consisting of 84% Kentucky bluegrass and 16% perennial ryegrass. Beyond the soil, organizers face a severe environmental threat. Scheduling the tournament in the middle of a North American summer exposes players and fans to extreme high-variance heat. To neutralize the climate variable, organizers rely on architectural countermeasures. Across 5 specific venues, the stadiums deploy advanced retractable roofs with interior climate control or heavy translucent canopies designed to lock in baseline temperatures. The 2026 World Cup operates as a meticulously controlled environment, relying on applied mathematics, game theory, and structural engineering to manage the scale of the expanded 104-match bracket across the continent.